For these triangles that are similar, we're trying to find x and we're trying to find y. Now you might have noticed that we were given the vertical sides of each triangle, and this smaller triangle is exactly half the length of this larger triangle. So you could have kind of noticed that right off the bat. That's going to be helpful when we're figuring out our answers because we should know that x has to be smaller than 5 and y has to be smaller than 13 because this is the smaller triangle. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our ratio. For x, let's do it this way. We'll say 12 goes with the 6. Okay, so this is the bigger and it's the vertical. This is the smaller and it's the vertical. So now if I want to find x, I have to ask myself, does it go on the top with the 12 or does it go on the bottom with the 6? Obviously, this is the bigger triangle and this is the smaller triangle. So the x is in the smaller triangle. That means it needs to go down here. And then x would pair up with 5. So this is a ratio that you could have written to solve this. Your ratio could look different. However, when you cross multiply, you have to make sure that you are multiplying the x and the 12 together. If you are not, you have messed up the order somehow. Okay, so when we do that, we get our equation of 12x equals, and then 6 times 5 is 30. We're going to then draw a river and divide by 12 on both sides. My arrow is getting in the way. And when I do that, 30 divided by 12 is 2.5. Again, you could have noticed that everything is being divided by 2, and so you could have also just said, well, 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. That way works as well. Now we find y. I'm going to remind you guys that you want to make sure that you are going back to whatever was given to us. Because if you made a mistake here, like if you got the wrong x and now you base your proportion on a wrong value for x, then you have no hope of getting this right. So you always want to go back to the original information that we were given. Now I'm going to set up this ratio a little bit differently just to show you that it doesn't have to be 12 over 6. It could be, let's say 12 goes with the 13. Okay, so in this case, they're both in the bigger triangle, B for bigger, and this is the vertical side, V for vertical, and this 13 is the slanted side. You know me, I always say that I just make notes for myself so that when I come over here and I know that I have a Y and I've got to figure out where it goes, I just look at my notes, right? So I say, okay, well, it's definitely going to be over here. This is the smaller triangle. Is the Y going to be on the top with the vertical side, or is it going to be on the bottom with the slanted side? Well, Y is slanted, so Y is going to come down here, which means that it's going to go with the vertical side, which is 6. Again, as long as you are multiplying the correct numbers together, you'll be fine. So let's go ahead and do this one. We would have 12 times y is equal to, and 13 times 6, I know you had a calculator, but it's never a bad idea to do it by hand, 78. We would draw our river, divide by 12 on both sides, and when we do that, we get that y is equal to 6.5. So 6.5 would be our answer for y. Again, we could have just taken the 13 and divided it by 2, just like we have with every other set of numbers, and 13 divided by 2 is 6.5.